Welcome into ABC7's coverage of the 2022 primary elections. Right now, we're highlighting the Democratic primary runoff for the Texas State Board of Education District 1. Now, this is a large district. The District 1 seat covers 30 counties, stretching from El Paso County to Laredo to parts of San Antonio. Our two candidates, Dr. Melissa Ortega, she's a UTEP Women's Studies professor, and Laura Marquez, the outreach coordinator for the Paso del Norte Development Center's Early Childhood Intervention Program. And I really want to thank both of you for being here so much. So just so the viewers at home have an idea of how this is going to work, we're going to ask 3 questions each. Each one of you is going to have about 30 seconds to answer each question. If you'd like for there to be a rebuttal, you have about 15 seconds after that. If we notice that things start to drag a little bit, then I'll chime in and just give you a gentle nudge to say, okay, that is your time, and we will go from there. So a reminder, this is the Democratic primary runoff election. The winner will be facing off against Michael Stevens, the winner of the Republican primary in November. So we want to start off, we're going to both ask you the same question, the first question. And I want to start with Dr. Ortega. I want to ask you, what is your top priority for El Paso students? You have 30 seconds.
Thank you. My top priority is to ensure that they have the best education they possibly can. Students in our area need to make sure that they have all of the basic resources available to them, have teachers that are highly qualified to be teaching them, and of course to be in a safe, comfortable environment in the schools. So the top priority really is just ensuring that they receive the best, highest quality of education they possibly can.
Okay, I'm going to ask you the same question. Ms. Marquez, what is your top priority for El Paso students?
So my top priority for El Paso students, and really for all of District 1, District 1 covers a vast border region, a lot of rural communities, so every need is not the same. But a priority for myself, especially coming from a mental health background and from a disability advocacy background, I really want to address the mental and emotional well-being of all our students. We're still in the midst of a pandemic. We have not gone out of it. And in order to help our students learn the best they can, I really feel like we need to start with addressing their mental and emotional well-being so that they can start to move from trauma and go into that learning attainment that's very important.
Okay. The second question is for you, Laura. You have a background in teaching students with disabilities, as you just mentioned. How do you think that the state can improve in making sure that the needs of these students are met?
So one of the biggest things that I feel needs to happen at the legislative level is to fully fund not just our public education system, but fully fund our special education programming. You know, not just too long ago, our state was in trouble for the caps that were put on our special education programs, and we're still not out of that. There is a dire situation to address the needs of students with disabilities, and when I look at policy and when I look at our public education system, when we're addressing the needs of our most marginalized students and our most marginalized communities, then that's where we can grow and build off and support the needs of every student.
Perfect. This is for you, Dr. Ortega. Your campaign has advocated for improved teacher-student ratios. How do you envision doing that at a time when some borderline school districts are dealing with staffing shortages?
Well, I think the first thing to do is to support the districts by providing more funding, more opportunities for us to learn more about what the needs are for teachers and help support the teachers, and to continue creating an environment where teachers feel appreciated, feel cared for, and are paid well enough so that they can continue to grow in their career, providing great opportunities for professional development and programs that are specifically created to support the teachers in the classroom so that they can continue to give to the students. Having more teachers and more retention in the classroom will provide opportunities for us to start looking at having shorter or smaller class sizes so that more attention and individualization can be provided to the students.
Of course. I wanted to ask something that's been in the news a lot, the topic that's been up for discussion, specifically in Texas. Recently, a bill was passed that's designed to keep critical race theory out of our schools. The bill limits how teachers discuss widely debated and controversial issues in the classroom. So we'll start with this question specifically for you, Dr. Ortega. What role do you believe educators should play in these instances?
Well, specifically for critical race theory is a course that's offered at higher education for people working on, their masters and their PhDs, that's not in the classroom. So I think there's a huge misunderstanding that that's being, provided to students in the classroom, because that's something that teachers are not taught, and they're not provided information to teach to their students. So that's not in the classroom, and it's not being taught right now. So really, I mean, it's not being taught, and that's the thing, is I feel like people need to understand that critical race theory is not being secretly taught to students in the classroom. It's not something that the teachers have some kind of agenda. It's something that's taught at the university level, and it's not trickling down into the schools.
Okay, Ms. Marquez, if you want to go off of that same question, what role do you believe educators should play in the instances when talking about widely debated and controversial issues in the classroom?
Well, in talking to educators across District 1, both locally and across the district, we hear that they want the autonomy to exercise their professional expertise as teachers. And that means teaching our history in the entirety, whether it's the good parts or the bad parts. And so teachers want that role. They want that freedom to teach about diversity. Texas is a vastly diverse state. Our border communities, need to see that representation. As a student, I didn't feel represented in history, seeing the stories and the leaders that were there. So our teachers really do have a role in being able to expose students to just a diverse experience that's different from their own, so that they can gain empathy and appreciation and understanding.
Of course. Okay, so I'm going to give each of you a chance to have a closing statement, anything that you'd like to say to the voters. And we're going to start with you, Ms. Marquez.
Well, I just want to say, I'll talk to the camera here. I do thank ABC7 for bringing a spotlight to this very important race. Our State Board of Education, our public education system, is fundamental to our society. This is how we help children and families and communities get that upward mobility that's important for every household. And so I just want to say that I will do my best as a community advocate and someone who's worked in different systems for a very long time to be that voice for our teachers, our students, our parents on the State Board of Education.
Okay, and the same opportunity for you, Dr. Ortega. Anything that you'd like to say to the voters?
I do want to say again, also thank you, ABC7, for having us here and for spotlighting this as well. I really believe that a person that sits in this role does need to have a strong foundational understanding of the educational system, and that person should be somebody who has walked in the shoes of teachers and has a deep understanding of the issues that teachers have to deal with and what it's like to be a teacher, and especially to have an understanding of working at the school districts, working in the classroom, being a parent. And so having the opportunity to serve on the board of the State Board of Education is something that I feel like I will be able to really support the growth of our education and continue in upward mobility as well. So thank you.
Well, thank you to both of you. Of course, we're talking here about the Democratic primary runoff for the Texas State Board of Education District 1. We want to thank both of our candidates for their time. And a reminder to those of you at home that early voting begins on May 16th and Election Day is May 24th. Again, this is the primary. Then the Democratic winner will face off against the Republican winner in November. So thank you so much for your time, and we'll be right back.